Hello everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video now. A map that's a little bit different. Normally you're not seen in 1v1s whatsoever. Called Red Rock Desert. I don't think we've ever had this map on the channel whatsoever. And let's go over it briefly before we mention our contestants. So in the bottom left, well, first things first, you can see the map is mirrored directly down the middle. So we're just going to explain this left-hand side, and you can extrapolate the rest. So we have a triple metal point here. There is water in between. So amphibious vehicle constructors could get down here on a 1v1 side of things. You have a bunch of 5 metal extractors down here, and with another 5 just obviously directly across from it. This is obviously quite a lot of metal just to have lying around. Just above that, you have 2 on a high hill that's only going to be accessible via air, as well as above that you see another 3 with a ramp up to it. If you do get position here as an opponent, you could build RT or anything like plasma based and just rain fire up onto your opponent from up there. Another high ground hill here, which is only accessible by air. And finally, at the top, we see a weird kind of concoction of a 3 metal extractor with 1 right at the top. Moving on to spawn side, we see a raised area up here for a 4 metal start. This could be quite useful if you want to play very defensive, as there is only one way up. Probably wouldn't surprise me if maybe an air start could start up here. And then below it, we see a 5 and then another 5. Our contestants today. We have Mr. Neb in red playing as Armada. Already getting ticks out on the field. With 1 more tick left and then into 20 pawns and 4 cons. And their opponent is the Admiral. Only building 4 of the 5 metal extractors at the moment. And playing Armada, has decided to go for 2 solars straight off the bat, and only just starting to build winds. This has given Admiral a little bit behind in terms of unit production, but will probably be the first to get a constructor out at this point. So we'll see what happens with that. Admiral obviously with this constructor already. And this is actually a relatively good place for a base. So if Admiral can defend here, which he has gone for double LLTs, the only thing of worry is if a unit can slip down the back here. But otherwise, this entire high ground is entirely safe from ground units. As long as they can't get past the LLT, that is. So this is a very safe spot for Admiral to queue up. You can see some wins here, as well as build the metal extractors and get a good radar position. Now, one thing of note, it's been recommended by people rather than building wins in this direction like this, you instead build them like this. The idea being, so if your opponent is doing a bombing run, right, he's coming from this side of the map. Now, if your opponent's coming from this side of the map and you've got all your windmills in a line like this, he's going to just drop a bomb. He's going to like do a line of bombs, right? That's how the bombers work. He's going to get all of your wins. You instead build your wins like this. When your guy comes to the opponent comes to do a bombing run, he's going to drop them like this. And then you're still going to have, you know, like your 4 windmills either side of your strip. That are still alive if you've spaced them out well enough. So, just a little tip there for you watching. But as we briefly switch over here, we do see Neb loses 1 metal extractor and a con. But with the Rex surviving, a Resbot is going to be rushed out here with a construction turret as well already built. They're looking in a pretty strong space. Construction turret has also been finished here by the Admiral. And the Admiral with no extra con to assist this factory technically means that Neb should be able to push out units quicker. And potentially these ticks here are able to get a construction bot for... Oh, one of them left with literally 0 health. I don't quite know how this guy has managed to survive. How are you alive? Glory be to the tick. As we look over to the base here, we can see that Neb is pushing out, was building a energy storage. Seeing a lot more energy storage built by players now. It used to be a lot more in the way they just produce a ridiculous amount of wind turbines and not that much storage. It was normal for 1 energy storage to be used. There was a very good post. I can't remember the gentleman who posted now. I say gentleman. The person that posted it. Basically, they did a huge breakdown on why energy storage is better to build than just building more energy. And it seems to me that a lot of the high-end players have been paying attention to that and have been following its credence. As we see here, Neb already going for a 2nd energy storage. And that has given him 13,000 energy storage right now. And we can see that this energy number is just rocketing up right now. And he doesn't really need to build more energy right now. We can actually see here that he's going a bunch of wins into energy storage, into wins, into energy storage, into wins, into energy storage. It's like he's added 1 energy storage per box. So that's interesting to see his idea here on how he's planning on expanding his economy. Whereas if we look over here to his opponent, we see Admiral with only a single energy storage here and is pumping out wins and such in the normal manner. Quite slowly as well, with no construction turret to assist any of this either. But as we take a zoom out to have a look at the wider map, you could see that both players' commanders are heading down to this south side. Now, Admiral will get there first. However, Admiral has not taken over these. Now, one of the reasons why both players might be deciding to do it that way is because once they've built fortifications along here, they plan on moving their commander back like this to get these ones. And I apologize for my horrendous drawing. But I would argue that right now, although it says Neb has advantage with army value, a large amount of his army value is in these 5 pawns at the north. And we're building quite a few LLTs there, but with wind dying right now, it is difficult to maintain that. And we can just see that with wind dying, Admiral was all completely out of energy, but due to the huge amount of energy storage, Neb is still going strong and is only just about to run out of energy. So we can see he's been able to pump out units for a considerable amount longer due to being able to store more energy. And don't forget that your metal extractors, your LLTs all use energy to use. Like free energy per metal extractor. You completely run out of energy, your metal extractors turn off. Not that that generally happens because you got enough to cover it, but you do sometimes see that when you transition to Tech 2 and you don't have enough energy really to support it. Or if you're Legion, especially with their Tech 1.5 metal extractors, got like 30 energy, I think, a pop to use them. It's quite a lot of energy. Neb managing to hold ground along the top. Does seem like an accidental double mech being placed on the top though as well as slowly expanding. Admiral, on the other hand, is taking his time to get up there. But we do see this slow boy making his way up there. The Centurion, very good at dealing with pawns. And we do see that fight taken by Neb here in a very advantageous position. Even though Admiral had a vastly superior amount of units, Neb actually managed to take it in a better spot. The commander was potentially in danger there. The LLT does get destroyed, but this pawn will not... Oh, a pawn manages to make it out of LLT range, but he's then going to get just completely annihilated. Yeah. And right now, the biggest thing we see is the metal excess number going up. 100 metal currently excessed by Neb. And that construction bot managing to survive barely. But along the north side, Admiral is making ground here. A huge amount of units gone to the north side now. 26 in total. And 2 Centurions up there as well. It's going to be difficult for Neb to deal with that with just pawns. Meanwhile, Admiral's providing tremendous pressure here in the middle with his commander being there as well as some units. But this does mean that Neb has full control of this bottom side. And there is an extra 5 metal points here that he hasn't taken just yet. And now, I do apologize somewhat. This map's going to be a little difficult to keep track of, because there's such wide area to try and cover. And this is now at the bottom where Admiral makes a bit of a push to where Neb's commander is. Manages to get past the single LLT that was there. One of them was still left up, but now the surviving forces get sandwiched. But the biggest problem for Neb is coming down from the north as a decent chunk of pawns, we call 17, making their way down with Centurion backup. Now there are 4 Centurions built by Neb and a 5th one on its way. But they have been a little too slow to get out, as we see now a force of just 4 pawns making it up to this high ground will kill that construction bot and all of the metal extractors that was up there. This is putting economy advantage towards the Admiral. And we'll see who ends up managing to make the most of their economy. Now, Neb being along the bottom here has gone to vehicles and is pushed directly into stouts. Now, that will push through LLT defenses very easily. And once through here, there's not much really stopping a push directly up and doing huge amounts of damage to the base. The pawns are making a break for it. A self-destruct of the LLT does do some decent damage to the pawns. But the planned vehicle factory here has been just decimated. And now the rush to send units down this way to try and hold off this breakthrough. Meanwhile, Neb has still lost all of the high ground that he had near his base, as well as just the northern flank entirely. And stouts don't really deal with pawns very well. Well, moving pawns. Stationary pawns, no problem. But moving pawns, not quite so well. But that is why he has Janice's planned in the mix. Now, there is a decent chunk of Centurions here, which being used very smartly here to only target a small amount of units at a time, using the very high quantity of alpha damage that Centurions have, and Resbots ready to back it up and make a reclaim of everything and make a push along the top. Meanwhile, artillery out from Admiral here in the middle to slowly but surely whittle his way towards the base. Now, what we do see is another push. Neb only just reacting to it now. There are some LLTs around, so it's not too big a deal, but Admiral needs to be careful. His commander is in a bit of a position where he can get collapsed upon from the bottom. And this Centurion line is also not to be underestimated along the top. But look at this conga line of maces. A huge amount of maces coming out. Rather than diversifying into stouts as well, we see just artillery. And also this artillery trying to get this high ground position. It does manage to get up here. We'll be able to easily hit that windmill farm. And that is something Neb cannot have. Focusing down the artillery as it's finally made its way up the hill. These pawns will be sacrificed for the greater good. There is a single shell shocker left though, and that factory obviously there. But Admiral has opened up a hole as a huge amount of pawns make their way down. We're going to keep an eye on the pawns instead, and on the second screen you can see the Centurions just decimating the thugs. As well at the bottom, a big push in with rezzed units has done significant damage to the baseline on the bottom. I need like picture in picture in picture in picture in order to cover everything that's going on right now. Neb kind of misusing these pawns here. Could have done a lot more damage on the base, but as this fight kind of cools off, we redirect our attention to the bottom. And he is in a bit of a trouble here. Admiral losing quite a bit of ground. Pawns along the bottom of the base of Admirals. Not really able to do too much. And the Centurions are marching on. And if they get into this back line here and start getting big economy damage, that's going to be a huge problem for the Admiral. Also, we can see here Resbots just rezzing everything. And Neb now in a very, very dominating position. As we look at the map here, Neb in control of basically that. Realistically, though, Admiral only has his base and the middle of the map, which it won't be long until he's pressured out of that central position. Neb not really paying attention to this force on the top, taking unnecessary damage. And he decides to make a bit of a go for it. Now changing his mind and deciding to back off, losing quite a lot of units there unnecessarily. Meanwhile, a mistaken direction. But I'm guessing these forces here are going to push north into this base. These could also just push south here and trap the commander on the hill. And if that commander gets trapped on that hill, he will be dead. So very, very dangerous for Admiral's commander to be in. I mean, it is somewhat advantageous. He can position it fairly safely with the idea of being able to degun anything that comes up to him. But he will be completely disconnected from his army. You can see him just trying to build some form of defenses here. Kind of stem the tide. Neb slowly backing off along the north. More and more artillery here. Slowly making their way. Little does Neb know he has plenty of forces to be able to push and just squash this factory in the middle. When we look at the differences in production here, metal produced is neck and neck. Both players basically with the exact same amount of metal. And the artillery is slowly pushing their way down with a Tech 2 transition now taking place from Neb. Which is why he's deciding here that he doesn't want to go in on anything. He's quite happy to hold the line. Surprisingly, though, that Neb is not taking these. Like, it wouldn't cost him much to take them and get 5 mil metal. Accidentally losing some res bots there. And he is getting pushed back. Neb along the north side. The con turrets here, though, doing a tremendous job at keeping the very few maces he has alive. But now with the construction turrets gone, we're going to see those units die very quickly. Not only that, but there are a group of forces making their way around the back. This is a very difficult map to deal with because you're getting attacked from like every angle. The artillery has made its way to the high ground, and we can see the unit clump here is just getting slowly destroyed by artillery, as well as this windmill farm could get completely killed. Pretty sure I heard air as well. Yep. Transition over to bombers from the Admiral. Finally, a big push in from Neb, making his way into the middle. And the force on the south also making its way up. Admiral's commander is off the high ground. With the commander down to 60% health, most of the pawn force does get destroyed. And here come the bombers. And we can see now the strength of just spreading out your wings so much that the bombers aren't really accomplishing too much. It's taking a bit too long to get any AA up in the base. As we select Neb, metal being his shortfall here. But that still was a lot of energy to lose. And if Neb would have got anti-air sooner, then that might not have happened. Now moving back over to the middle, the tank force has completely destroyed the defensive positions that were here. And now Neb could, with both of these forces, close up on the commander. But his problem right now is he has a huge force of enemy units making their way down this north-hand side. North-hand side? That is definitely not a phrase. Admiral's commander with very little support. The Resbots are here, eager to just eat up as much as it possibly can. Vehicles now also out from the Admiral here, as well as some gunships. Neb's forces do not have any anti-air with them. And doing the right thing here, prioritizing securing the reclaim field. Admiral doing his best to kill the Resbots first. There is one left still, which there does manage to get killed off. But look at this amount of Resbots making its way in. 6k metal ready and raring to go. Neb does clear up that northern flank, but this is a lot of reclaim to leave, and with no way of dealing with the air, Neb forced to retreat. But Neb has transitioned to tech. Well, oh, actually, this is interesting. So, Neb transitioned to tech 2. He built 3 construction bots and 3 butlers, and then has reclaimed everything. He's done this because he needs the economy, but he needs units out. So his plan is basically get as much units up as possible, get them up as quick as possible, but also get the economy up. Question is he going to be able to do it before all of this is rezzed? And if Admiral is able to res all of this, Neb is in for a big problem. It was looking extremely strong for Neb, but it's just been kind of going downhill steadily. He lost the high ground, well, for quite a while, managed to push back right outside the base, but then it's been consistently losing ground, and has still not managed to recap this point on the top left-hand corner of the map. He has consistently held the bottom, but that is not for much longer, as Admiral sends all of his forces here down to the bottom. Neb's commander is safe in the water, but that does mean he is unable to help save the land, as there are LLTs and beamers desperately trying to be built as quick as they possibly can, but they're going to get killed before too long. The army of Neb tries to come to the rescue here, but is only really going to be able to deal with the Rezzed army. And with gunships also making their way, still no anti-air in this army to help deal with the gunships. And Neb needs to be careful here. His army is positioned against the coast, and this could end up being a complete army wipe for Neb. And his tank force is trying to make a break for it. Get back to home. Go, go, go. Luckily for Neb, no gunships are chasing him down, instead going after his expanded economy. And the tanks do manage to live to fight another day, but army value is now 50% advantage to the Admiral, whereas before it was definitely advantage Neb. Now, the commander's location for Admiral has fallen right back. And although Tech 2 economy from Neb is out, he's losing ground ever so steadily, as well as this Tech 2 guy is about to get killed as well, as it's not being pulled back. Fighters are up in the air though, but however brief it is, just to deal with the gunships. And surprising, the Tech 2 constructor is, well, was still alive, is now dead. Meanwhile, we see the Admiral here with his own Tech 2, and these are actual Tech 2 units, Bulls making their way out with their weird fire tracks because they have 3 wheels, even though you wouldn't think so. And this may look like the beginning of the end for Neb. It just doesn't have the right units really to deal with this. Hesitating a little bit too much to go in here, just taking damage on the periphery of the fight. Meanwhile, as a slow force of Bulls forming up along the top, he is never even aware of them. He is aware that there's something there. He doesn't know what it is. And with only Tech 2 units, Tech 1 units, right? And just pawns. Pawns are going to be completely destroyed by Jaguars and Bulls making their ways down. No Tech 2 defenses built by Neb yet either. And when we see metal as second, it is even right now. Metal produced is technically advantage Neb. But when it comes to map control, is significantly on Admiral's favor, and surprisingly, we actually see a naval yard being built here by the Admiral. And with that, Neb knows he cannot defend that top force. And calls the GG. Tremendous game. It could have been very much anyone's game for a long time. The bombing run, although it didn't seem like it did a lot, it did enough to delay the upgrade of Tech 2 for Neb. And Neb maybe should have just made the play on the commander a lot sooner and went all in on the win. But that is a risk you have to take. But thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget, if you want to send me replays, either send them to me on Discord or on my email that you can find on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.